Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Modern Firm. I'm your host, Noah Scher, and today I'm joined by Sarah Prevost, founder of Mintage Labs and the Proper Trust. Sarah has been at the forefront of modernizing financial systems for law firms, helping them simplify their operations and build healthier, much more efficient businesses. So, Sarah, it's a pleasure to have you on today.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just excited to participate in your podcast. So thank you.
Likewise, of course, I'm happy to have you here. So let's get right into it, Sarah. Your
Okay.
path into legal accounting is a very unique one. So can you share a little bit more about what led you into this space and your background, what led up to the point to start not just one venture, but two and everything along the way?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it goes back to when I was turning 40, and I said, you know what? I'm done working for other people. I'm just going to go out on my own. And of course, ethnicity side of our culture, when other Arab Americans find out about this, the ones that will embrace you. So I had a really wonderful friend attorney come to me and say, I really need you to do my books. Never done attorney books before. I'm coming out of construction. Let's just see what happens. And we worked together and we started. I really cut my teeth on working with her on how to work with Clio, how to work within QuickBooks, set up payroll and all that. And so it was fabulous. We were honestly a team, her and I, and we had a great time. From there, I found my passion. I really identified with, I love this. I really like trust accounting. I like this puzzle, this maze. It's just different and professional services. And so from there, I got referred out, and it was all referral based with Mintage. And then one day, a particular software app sent me a referral. It was quite a large size firm. And I was like, I can't do this on my own. And I reached out to a colleague. She and I had been spending some time together, and she's all the way across the country in Florida. And we started working together. And before you know it, we're like, well, this is good. Let's do this again. And it was a migration, it was a very large migration. And realized, all right, we're making a partnership. This is it. And so the Proper Trust was born about 3, 4 years later. Here we are with 3 different outsourced teams that we work with, about 11 employees stateside, and growing, and we're enjoying it. We're having a great time together. And so Mintage Lab still exists. I have some wonderful clients, and my original clients are in there. I'm about relationships and less about transactional anything. So yeah, that's how I've kind of coexisted with multiple firms and then shooting off into different aspects too. Because, being an entrepreneur, you're going to have fun, right?
Totally, yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. I always love hearing people's, the reasons why they started what they started. Was there a specific moment for you, Sarah, where you were kind of just like, hey, I'm gonna go all in on this, or was it like a culmination of just over time? You're like, hey, I want to start my own thing.
It was around the time when the industry was really pushing for you to find a niche, pick your niche. You got it. I mean, I came in with that sort of mentality. I did come in with a different mentality of it's not going to always be QuickBooks. I was open to multi-platform, so Xero was my other platform. It was also under the guise of like not just your niche, but you're going to have a tech stack. Everyone's just going to do this tech stack. That's what you're going to do. And
Yeah.
I just felt like, as an entrepreneur, I'm not going to have you tell me what to do
Mhm.
in that way. Why would I be doing that to somebody else? And so I always led with these are the things I know. This is what I'm most comfortable in. This is why I would choose this app for you over this one. And so at some point during that journey, I had, been working with Clio since 2016. And I was like, well, I like that platform. I'm open to others. I didn't see a leader at the time in the space for myself. And I just kind of knew the workflow, and I really enjoyed I guess I just really enjoyed the people. I don't know, attorneys, so many of my colleagues are like, oh, I would never do that. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. That's more for me, right? In a different positive way.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just the communication style. I am a very direct person. I like clear, concise levels of communication in that way. So it just worked for my style. And then the complexity of it. It is complex. I mean, you're talking about working in jurisdictions outside of the city that and the state you live in, complying with a level that's really high marks, right? You make a mistake, you get called out for it, you could eventually lose your license, as that huge California case that made the entire state of California change how IOLTA reporting and trust reporting happens. So, So that, yeah, I guess it's like playing at the high stakes table versus playing on the slots.
Yeah. Keeps things fun, right?
It does. Yeah. I
Um,
haven't looked at it that way, but now I do.
keeps it engaging. So I know you work closely with law firms and whatnot. Financial systems are often a sticking point. So what are some of the biggest financial mistakes that you see law firms make, and how do you guys come in and, kind of help them fix those?
Man, what a good question. Modernization is slow to adapt. They were forced to, with COVID. So, of course, things accelerated a lot faster, demystifying and the fear of doing it. A lot of it, law firms I'm finding when you're doing these migrations is you understand that you have a core system you've kind of gotten really deep into or possibly somewhat deep into, and then you have supplemental systems all over the place because you didn't trust the system. So that's a dangerous slope. How much admin time is spent babysitting all of these broken bifurcated pieces? So when we look to modernization style migration, and I feel like there's a big, huge misstep in this, and I've seen this week in some calls. We were told it was pretty easy. It's take about 10 days and we'll be in and click, 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 click. No, you've got to train staff on all brand new software. You've got to have a runway. You've got to be able to verify your data and you got to make sure the numbers tie out. And if you're not an accounting person or you're not someone that has that tech knowledge and accounting on top of it, that stuff can blow up really fast. And then you've got a bigger mess. So we sit in a little bit of a special place because we understand it. We rolled up our sleeves. And the joke with me is my business partner always says, "Oh my God, give Sarah 5 minutes. She'll have an old archaic system figured out and tell you where to find stuff." And I don't know why that is. Honestly, I don't even know that I do it. I just get in there and I just like, let me like kind of get in the dirt and I'll figure it out. But honestly, I do feel like they're slow to adapt. And so if you're thinking about it, you should have been in it already, is the way I see it.
Yeah.
That's
Do you think it's more of like a resistance? Like I know for accounting, for example, a lot of it's more of a resistance to change, or do you think it's just a lack of awareness that there's like better solutions? Or would you say maybe a mix of both?
a mix of both. I also hate the idea of people, and we see this in our own profession. We're parallel professions, right? This app is great for me. You should use that. Does it work for you really? Are you practicing the same law as the other person? What works for immigration is not going to work for PI, let's say, you know? So I would take those a little bit with a grain of salt. I'd look at your type of practice area that you're practicing and see who has the most success and how they build things and seek out those individuals. But I do feel that, yeah, it's a mix of both. I think what we're seeing is legacy type firms are having to adapt faster because we have a younger generation coming in and they're not wanting to call the office to find out what the trust account balance is on something while they're in court. They
Yeah.
want to see it on their phone.
So it's more about just, recognizing that new technology is coming and adopting it before you're forced to, right?
Exactly.
And we say that with everything, right? Even when the internet came out, my dad used to tell me that there were so many companies that were just so hesitant to adopting it and thought it was evil and all this stuff. But eventually they were forced and bent to have to use it, right? So it all comes back to people, right? Like you said earlier, if you can speak with someone and trust them that they're gonna do good work for you and they have a track record, then there's no reason not to, right?
Yeah. You made a reference just now, I think is a great point. When your dad was talking about how people adopted the cloud, we're having this exact moment with AI.
Hmm.
It's the exact, I feel like I'm like in a look back machine, but a forward machine. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so fearful. My God. I was like, oh, we're going to the cloud. What's the cloud? What is the word of a cloud? I mean, I remember when YouTube came out, my assistant next to me working with me, I was like, what are you doing? I'm looking at YouTube. I'm buying stuff on eBay. What's eBay? Things
It's
like
all
that.
about pivoting to the new technology. I mean, my business, we work with AI with firm owners, and the biggest question and the biggest concern that we get is this going to make me obsolete? They think they're going to go under all these questions that I'm sure you get as well and that you've heard. And the answer is no. It's just about leveraging it and pivoting, right? Industries are going to change, but the accounting profession is going nowhere. The law profession is going nowhere. Most professions aren't going to go anywhere with the implementation of AI. It's just how they're going to change certain things within them, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as it is now, some things it does math okay, it doesn't do it perfectly. You still need that review. You still need that secondary eye, and then you need that human touch. what does this mean? It doesn't tell you exactly what it means. Translate to English, to Spanish, whatever, that's fine, but it's not telling you. We took as a use case, one of my team members, I was so excited for her. Something in English. It was a very specific thing for an attorney, how to bill this particular case. And it's like that's English is not her first language. So she was struggling. So she threw it in to like a chat piece that we have for our tools that we use and threw it in there and asked it to translate it. Did pretty well, honestly. And she was able to really ascertain what was important to it. That's, honestly, you have to sit there and try and translate it with a Google Doc. Like, let's say you try to do it that way, word by word by word,
Yeah.
or you toss it in, let it do the work for you. And then she was like, oh, okay, I get it. I know what it's asking for. Now I know how to build this correctly
Exactly, using it as a tool, right?
as a tool.
That reminds me, Sarah, of a story. Me and my older brother, when in our sophomore year of college, we worked our first ever accounting internship, and the accounting firm had this new AI tool that was supposed to
Oh,
complete all the tax returns for us, right? But the partners still wanted the interns to check every single one to obviously make sure there's no mistakes. And I kid you not, almost every single return had at least one mistake in them, and we had to go in and manually fix them, right? So this thing that it's gonna completely get rid of accounting or completely get rid of tax or law or any other industry, it's
hmm
just not true, right? And so
yeah,
once people
yeah.
get over this fear and kind of realize that, I think there's going to be an even greater jump in AI and the growth it's going to have once people are open to it and kind of get over that stigma of it.
Yeah, it's so fast, right? Do you feel this way? It is just moving like a bullet train. Every day is something new, and I'm like, oh, I can't keep up. I just have to start at the beginning sometimes, like just let myself read and figure out what I need and try and try and try and keep working. Practice makes it perfect on the tools.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sure you remember when like ChatGPT first came out, it was awful, right?
Oh,
Terrible.
slow. Only so many people could get in. Get in now. I'm like, I can't get in. I'm on the wait list.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah,
just absolutely terrible. And now it's very sophisticated. So it is moving at an exponential rate. Totally.
yeah, yeah.
Sarah, I'd love to kind of switch gears here
Okay.
and speak about your business. So, at what stage do firms reach out to you? Is there like a common point where they get to where, things just feel overwhelming and they realize they need help, or is it kind of all across the board?
I think it's honestly the best thing. It's all across the board, but it's a lot of demystifying.
Hmm.
You know, honestly, here's the deal. You're an attorney, you're a business owner. We're business owners, we're an accounting firm. I didn't go in business to practice law. I got in business to do your books so I could help you drive your business.
Hmm.
Vice versa. When I see, and we have quite a bit of these, attorneys like 3 a.m. doing the work, you're not doing good work to yourself. You're not serving yourself well. That's lower. If you think about what you could charge on a case per hour or flat rate and doing this style work, they're not equivalent, right? That's not going to pay your student loans. That's not going to pay your office rent. So, in the same breath with that is when we honor those spaces, we also need to remember this is a relationship. And when I see firm owners treat these places like cost centers transactional, treating your employees this way, treating it this way, that success rate of your business doesn't go up as fast as when I see a heart forward, a very business savvy focused firm.
Hmm.
And we've worked with a gamut of them. But the benefit to someone like us in our firms is we have the 50-foot view. We see a whole bunch of firms. So when we see fine tuning happening over here, like that's actually working. Maybe not the same style of a firm, but would they benefit from something that thinking of that? Would that help them? Because I'm hearing them complain maybe compensation isn't going so well or being they're losing, retention isn't working, but it's working really well over here. So suggesting a slight similar model, not copycatting, but hey, someone else in my roster is doing this really well. It seems to have success. Would you entertain something like that? We can drive those conversations in a meaningful way. But again, it goes back to the relationship. It has to be a relationship. And when you lose sight of that and it's just, transactional in any format, it doesn't become a great relationship. And sometimes we've bowed out, honestly. We've said, this isn't working anymore. Maybe you need to have somebody else serve you
I
because we
agree.
put a lot into that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it's, everyone's always saying, oh, it's about relationships and everything, but it's so very few people actually practice it, right? A lot of people, they just treat it as if it's a vendor, just, hey, come do my books and get out. And then you
Mhm.
give them books that they don't understand. And so what we see that's doing the best is, like you said, firms that are generally building relationships, translating all the things, all the financials that the law firms might not be expert at, and that's what you come in and you explain it to them, right? And so building that relationship over time is what leads to true success in what I've seen and what my dad's taught me and what I've seen with my family who are firm owners. It's like my uncle, he's had a client for like 30 years and they're basically friends, and it's like that's what you want, right?
That's what you want. And you're touching on something when you talk about family and you talk about friendships, you never know. And I think you're in the same boat as me on the ethnicity. You never know where your referral is. You never
Yeah.
know who you're talking to. You really don't. So how you engage with, how you treat people will be a reflection of what they're going to send you to. So
So yeah, it's simple and everyone says it, but just trying as hard as you can, being a nice person. It sounds so low level, but it really is like the core of everything, right?
well, especially now in a day and age where everything is okay, you're on your phone, you're looking here, you're in the computer, everything is everywhere. It's coming at you so fast. And you hear a lot of people having mental breaks. And you need that human interaction. You need that level of community. You need that support, whether you see it that way or not. You do need to reconnect. And I feel like we learned that having come out of such a disconnected space for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to reconnect. And what does that mean? And it's somewhat exciting and it's nice. We're on breaking points of new things. So it's kind of nice to leverage new tools and access new ways of doing stuff. Yeah.
I like that you say that, especially in this day and age. Mental health is at an all-time low. People are on antidepressants higher than ever. All this bad stuff. It's because of everyone's glued to their technology, and people forgot, what like an actual relationship, not even in the romantic sense, but even just like with a business relationship or a
This is
family relationship, people just forget about that. And it's such an attention economy where everyone is just so focused in on individualism, and no one cares about community anymore. And it's just a
Yeah,
downward spiral, right? So it's
absolutely.
a tough world we're in, and so kind of being able to navigate that's a skill in of itself.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, this is going to be interesting as we see things progress and we hear about these robots and all these things. Let's see what life brings us in the next
I'm
5
scared for it.
with you. It's definitely unique.
Totally. Sarah, so touching back on the law stuff, if you had to paint a picture for the audience of, what a well-run, financially healthy law firm looks like behind the scenes, what are things that they kind of all touch on across the board?
I like this. Okay. So it's the mindset of the owner or the partners. It's beyond it's customer experience. It's the relationships they have with the staff, the level of empowerment. This is a law firms all have a particular style in how they pay and how they look at things. I also look at it through the lens of, for example, we have a client that we really work well with. They don't have everything worked out perfectly. They might have, intermittent high turnover. However, what I can say is a well-touch machine is that we have a proper close date. We actually like a very finite one. And what does that result in for them? And we know we're in tune to their pay schedule, right? Sometimes you think, oh, we just you guys put this all together and we just do this all over here. No, we know when you pay. We pay some of your bills. We do your billing for you. We understand. So we're looking out. We have a whole new lens from this side. And then when we come together and have these conversations with you, and you tell us the other aspects of it, it makes a lot of sense. I'm the type of person too, when I'm first talking to a firm, uh, okay, you're talking to me about accounting, but actually, how do you get clients? What's your engagement with your clients? How do you want to build them? What is the touch points? Why do you ask me all these questions? Well, it impacts how I get the books done.
Yeah.
I know the story by the books, really.
Hmm.
I'm asking because I need the rest of the story. And when you start to really, I can speak to this firm that we love so much, endearing, very, an amazing person. And his biggest goal was, I don't want to be like the other firms I worked for. I want to make sure people are paid well, don't have to, they're accountable, but don't have to, be relying on reporting time and all these inefficiencies. I want them to worry about less about their income and more about the production. He's done really well. We went from 6 employees, we're up to 50, international. This is like a whole skyrocket. We got to the point where we needed to get a firm to help us help grow it in a different way. We knew well enough that we tapped out. We needed somebody that we trusted at a different level, and we're bringing in a whole holistic side to it.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart when you can work with someone so tightly and grow and realize I need more growth for you, but I want to be strategic about that. I want complementary services to what we're offering. So that I feel like is when owners are open-minded, remain open, not get cheated. I mean, transparency across the board on our side always, but stay open-minded, stay open to ideas, having conversations, inclusive conversations, not just separate, very collaborative, I should say, conversations. That's how a lot of the firms that we work with really are driving at the higher tick mark and at this higher tick growth. The ones that keep it separate, I'm going to change software every other month. That's not a good fit. Sorry. You're just chasing something else. You're not chasing the right things. So,
And I would
yeah.
say, and correct me if you disagree, but I would say that's the difference between a true partnership and just being
Hmm.
a vendor, right? That's
Yeah.
true growth, collaboration, changing ideas, being open to anything if it's like presented with evidence and whatnot, versus just being stuck in your ways and just looking at it like a lot of businesses will just look at their accounting side, their financial side of just, hey, I'll pay a bookkeeper, I'll pay a CPA, just get it done, and they don't want to think about it, right? And
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
thinking about it is not going to solve the problem. It's just going to delay it and not do anything good. So.
Well, you know what's interesting that you bring this up too. If you're like, say you're doing fractional CFO work and you meet us, we're the legal expertise, right? Your mind, you're like, oh, it's one of two ways I see it. You're tapping into a resource of people that could help you do a better job at your job. Or they're just the book, just bookkeeping. It's just done like this. That dismissive behavior is going to always pose a problem. It's going to pose a problem for us because, like my friend always says, I'm the head nurse, you're just the sign off dude. For taxes or stuff like that, right? It's kind of that we are looking for partnerships. We don't have to be in business together, but we want to build better relationships with other collaborators. And because ultimately that client wins. Those backdoor conversations we're having and presenting it and making it more collaborative together, it changes the mindset of an owner. They don't have all the keys to the kingdom. They just open the shop. They need other people to help them with that. So that's the interesting part I find, is you kind of hit on it a little bit.
And
I
100%. And I want to
Yeah.
touch on what you just said as well, with the do what you're good at and then hire people or work with people who are good at what they do, right? And
Mhm.
something my dad used to always tell me, and that maybe this is the Arab in him, but he would always say, like, shut up, like, always shut up in the room. Just try to, like, absorb everything, right? I mean,
I
that's
like
even, and that I apply that to everything in my life, even this podcast, right? I'm not an expert in business, I'm not an expert in accounting, right? So I want to bring on people who know more than me so I can learn from them. And the same thing applies to my business, right? My business partner, he's my cousin. He's 30 years old. He's very experienced. He knows way more than me. So I be quiet and I let him talk and I absorb. And if there's something that I could provide value for, I'll share. Most of the time, I like to think that I know nothing compared to most other people. And that's how I've been able to learn. Like,
I love this. I feel like no matter what, even at my level of experience, I always joke like, "Oh, I'm never going to get surprised." No, I'm always going to get surprised, Sarah. Don't kid yourself. And also, I'm always going to learn. I always learn something I never thought I was expected to learn. Like, "Oh, this is coming at me. Okay, something new. All right." But I'm open to it.
mhm,
Be open to it. And I'm with you. It's the same thing. We've been taught the same thing. You don't
yeah,
go in and be the loud you go in and you wait, you watch, you listen. Yeah. Yep. It's not about you, it's about them.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
I love it.
It's so funny that we have the similar backgrounds. Like, there's so much we could relate to. Um,
So much. Yeah.
Sarah, so question regarding your businesses. Where are you looking to take, Mintage Labs and the Proper Trust? What are your visions for them, 3, 5 years down the line? Are you guys in growth mode or kind of just maintaining what you have, or what are your plans?
A proper trust for sure is in absolute growth mode. There's so much hunger there with the team that we have, the desire to learn more. A lot of the stuff we do is not top-down implementation. It's out of the box thinking. Having come, and I was just reminded of this, and like you said, I I do have family that works for the proper trust. So I have my cousins working with me. And I was reminded today, one of them said, she sees why I lead the way I do. I was the type that always had to work under somebody that was like, what's this? What's that? Why are you clocking in this way? And I had to be that person too. I got to that level where I had to ask that of others. I hated that. Why couldn't you just do the job that you were given and just do it and finish it up? Why do I have to babysit you?
Yeah.
And I lead with that. I give you a file. My expectation is you own it. You want to come back and ask me questions and we can work together on what is a good solution. I don't want to know the file as intimately as you. That's your job. That's not my job.
Yeah.
I don't want to manage you at that thumbprint level. You're a full grown woman who has 2 kids and you're raising them. Great. You have kids going off to college. You've already raised them. You know what it means to manage a house? Why am I telling you how to do your day every day? I don't need to.
Mhm.
So I look to that style. I joke, it's the joke of I don't need the silver platter learners. I need the people that are hungry to kind of look for themselves. It's great. I understand there's fear in a lot of that. Like, how do you want me to answer? Okay, you can ask me, can gain some confidence. Obviously, and within our company, the joke is we should make a little bot about this is ask Sarah how to write this email. I have a direct way of asking for things without all the fluff. Let's just get to the point. And when I read emails from teams, then they're like, hey, how does this sound? I'm like, cutting out 90% of the words. Let's just get to the point because time is money. I
Mhm.
don't have to read a full thing, please and thank you. And just give me the directions, tell me what to do. And ultimately, that's what everyone's looking for. So it's kind of the joke inside of it, but really that's the type. That's where I want to see us grow. I want to see us have people within the company that wants to grow in that way. And you come into the fold. Yes, it's my company with my business partner, but you're excited to learn. You're excited to drive. You're excited to have your own kind of suite of clients that you co-manage with me and we work together. So I'm more excited too at the opportunity of modernizing more firms, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
It is a deficit. So I'm excited to see what that goes. Yeah.
Totally. I love that approach. It's like the art of delegation. And this reminds me of my high school days when I worked at a few different fast food places. And one of the places I had a boss who would just micromanage everything I was doing. He would come and ask me, hey, do you do this? You do this? And the job itself, the company, it wasn't running well. The store wasn't running good. I didn't want to do my job when I have someone down my neck, 24/7. And then I also worked another job where the boss was super chill. He's like, hey, this is what you need to do. As long as you get it done, I don't care what you do. And that actually made me want to work, and the place was running super smoothly. And so that's the best leadership style. And I've seen that even in my own life, right? Even just at something so simple like a fast food chain, where it's when you give someone a task and you give them the responsibility, unless they're a bad worker from the get go, like they're going to want that responsibility and they're going to want to deliver on it, right? So, at least myself, if someone trusts me with something, I don't want to let them down, right? So I'd rather let down the boss who's down my neck than the boss who's super chill and genuinely wants me to do good, right?
Yeah. And wants to see, I mean, you're only going to learn from yourself in that moment. And
Mhm.
you got to fail. And then you got to find out how to find the resources. No one's going to always pick you up. It's all on you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. I love that story, actually. It's very true.
Yeah, me and my little brother, we both worked at the same places throughout high school, and it's the same thing. So,
Yeah.
having leadership that is hands off and but delegating properly, I think, is the key to running a successful business because you can't do everything yourself, and nor should you want to manage everything yourself, right?
Yeah.
Do what you're good at, and then find people who can manage the things that you want to get done properly. Is what I believe. Totally.
I totally agree. I have a lot of empathy. I always think too, you're someone's child, you're someone's, person, and what is this impact of your workload here going to do to your personal life? And I don't need to carry the burden, but I do need you to show up and do what's being asked here. But I don't need to pave the golden street for you. You got to figure that out. Here's your opportunity, move it.
100%. No, totally. I agree with you there. Sarah, last question for you, and this has been an amazing conversation so far,
It hasn't.
is I'm blessed, thank God, that, I've had this mindset since I was a kid. My parents drilled it into me, obviously, and everything. But for someone who maybe hasn't, and they're just, wanting to get into starting their own business, but they have no idea where to start. They're super scared because, people might be telling them, don't do it, take the safe route. All of this hesitation, especially in this world now. What is your one piece of advice to someone who wants to build something for themselves but has no idea where to start?
Okay. Well, here's one thing I will just share a little bit about me. I started with nothing. I had no true vision. I just knew I didn't want to work the way I was working. I walked out and started my own thing. I had my little safety net of savings, but that was it. I didn't even know what it was going to do.
Hmm.
I just had to get comfortable with, am I okay? Do I feel okay to charge this? That's it. I didn't know what tech software I was going to do. I didn't know what market I was going to do. I didn't know. Blissfully ignorant is almost the best thing.
Yeah.
So if you're starting out and you're overthinking it, you're never going to get past that line. They always say, just try it, just do it. It is fearful. I imagine, like, how do you even establish what style of business, what entity? I see people come to me, they're literally, I'm going to open my doors tomorrow and I just want to make sure I get everything in order. Okay, what's everything? Do you have the crystal ball in 5 years and you know your entity's going to change in 5 years? Maybe two. You don't know. Do you know that maybe someone in your family is going to get sick and you have to put your life on a back burner and you're going to do? You don't know. You cannot have everything figured out. That's the beauty of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have to be, if you are risk averse and it's crippling, then go work for somebody else and do a really good job because we need those workers.
Hmm.
You are going to take that leap. Maybe it's a side hustle. Maybe it's be honest about it. Don't, I mean, I hear this all the time. Don't go work for somebody else and then try and like steal the clients and do the side gig or work moonlighting for a different firm. Be honest.
Hmm.
You wouldn't want it to happen to you. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to open your door, then be okay with change every day. Because every day is like a bipolar moment probably. You're going to be up and you're going to be down. And you got to be okay with it. You're going to cry. You're going to be happy. You're going to feel like you're on top of the world. And then you're going to hate life. Be okay with this. And if you can't be okay with this, if you're the type that you need steady flow, you need predictability, being an entrepreneur is not going to be for you. I think the word that's now exhausted itself on its own is that hustle. I've never looked at it like that. I've never looked at it like this work-life balance. That to me has always been crap. I've always said it from day one. This is my life and I balance it the way I want to. My work is part of my everyday world. My
Hmm.
family knows it. My son knows it. God bless my son. He actually knows how hard I worked. I'm exactly the model that I was of my family to him, and I'm grateful for that. That to me is the prize. You just see that moving forward in your future generations. But you have to be okay with change. And if you can't like it, then that's not for you. Honestly, just be real with yourself. See if you even have the tenacious personality to do it.
Totally. I love that you say that work-life balance stuff is because Sarah, you're saying you love what you do, and that's because you found your passion, right? And so you love
Yeah.
what you do and you continue to work every day. I think the phrase where people say, hey, I need a work-life balance, I think most of the time when people say that, it's because they don't like their situation, they don't like their jobs. I just think you should do what you want to do and what you're passionate about, right? Your passion is what you're doing now, and that's why you enjoy it,
Yeah.
right? I love
Yeah.
what I do now. Although there are days where I just work, 14 hours on my computer and I want to just go crash upstairs.
Yeah.
Yes, there are those days, but at the end of the day, I'm in my bed. I'm like, hey, actually, I felt productive, right? I was working
Yeah.
for myself. Even if I
Yeah.
didn't make any progress today, I still tried. So,
You know, what's interesting as I was listening to something very quickly on social media and it said, do you have 80 some dollars? I forgot what the exact phrase is. I'm going to butcher this.
mhm.
82 minutes or $87. Would you, or $87,600 or something? What would you do if you lost it every day? That's what the minutes are that you lose if you don't celebrate life every day.
Yeah,
When I heard this, I thought, because I had a big transitional moment happen a couple of years ago, and I'm grateful for it, good or bad, doesn't matter. But it really changed my mindset, and it really helped me understand like, this is short. I can't just live like this. I have to live like this. And it might not look the same to everybody, but whatever it is, it's got to be for you. It can't be for somebody else. You can't just do this for someone else. You've got to do it for you.
exactly. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to die. We're all going to be in our graves.
Mhm.
So, do you want to have spent your life just being unhappy and wishing you took the risk or take it, even if you fail? At least you can look back and say, hey,
You tried it.
at least I
I've
tried,
done
right?
another business before and it never worked out and it failed in its own way. And I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't even mature enough to do what the heck was I thinking? But thank God I was somewhat blissfully ignorant when I decided to do this at a later date in my life.
Yeah, true, true.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Sarah, this has been an amazing conversation. Seriously, very fruitful.
Well,
So, for the audience who wants to reach out to learn a little bit more about you or your business or connect with you, where
yeah.
can they find you?
Really, honestly, my assistant does manage my social media, I'll be honest. And so LinkedIn is where she puts quite a bit of content out. We are on TikTok for our law pod that we do, and on Instagram, and we can have little show notes, but LinkedIn would be the best for professional reasons,
Yep.
and I'll go from there. And I have a lovely assistant who informs me of a lot of things. So,
Perfect. All right,
yeah.
we'll make sure to include everything in the show notes. And for anyone in the law industry or any industry who needs help with their business and needs some clarity, I want you guys all to go reach out to Sarah. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining me today, Sarah.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
We'll see you guys in the next one.